Hey guys, this is Megan from Aviation. I am the Coast Representative to UPBRAC, which is the University Policy and Budget Review Advisory Committee. And I just wanted to give my report a little bit differently this week. I'll still provide it in written format, but I know there's been some concern that the information isn't disseminating to everyone in the college, and figured maybe this is a little bit more of an entertaining way to do it. I have to give credit to Ryan Phillips because he gives our department updates this way, and I always watch them, so I figured you might too. I don't know if my face makes it better or worse, but here we go. So we met this Tuesday, February 4th, from 2 to 4:30 in the flight deck. Chris gave an opening prayer, but he wasn't feeling well for the meeting, so didn't stick around for too long. We hope that he feels better soon. Then we moved on to the president's remarks and updates. So Dr. Livingston spoke for a little bit about what's new on campus and the strategic plan. He first highlighted some bright spots. We're having a good year, especially with respect to fundraising. There were some unrestricted gifts that we weren't expecting. An unrestricted gift is something that isn't pinned to a specific college or item, but given to the university, trusting that they will spend it where it's most needed. So that really helped things quite a bit this year. I believe that it was around $900,000, so it wasn't a small amount, mostly estate gifts. In terms of new students, we've had one of the best springs that we've had in a while. We're at plus 40, which is great, which Dr. Livingston reinforces another indication of the great value that we provide our students, and the great value that we offer. Another thing that he mentioned was specific to our college, which is great, the donation of the American Airlines MD-80, which another shout out to Ryan Phillips as well as Craig Neville and Bill Parrott. They did a lot of hard work to get that airplane here. And partnerships like that, of course, bring some good attention to the program and as well as to the university itself. He also talked about the LaSallian scholarship interviews being a really big success. There were 235 students in attendance, which is great. Another testament to the educational experience that we offer here at Lewis, so that is very exciting as well. The overall message was positive. But of course we have to be aware of the signs of the time and react to them. I believe he was referring to the 2026 impending enrollment reductions. So then he moved on to talking about some of the challenges. And he talked a little bit, of course, about the budget. This wasn't a budget meeting, this was a strategic plan meeting. But he talked a little bit about the progress that's being made on the budget because, of course, that's top of mind for everyone. He mentioned that we're making good progress, but not as much as we'd like. We've made back about $3 million, but are still in the negative. It was in the plan to still be in the negative. However, we are approximately $250,000 more in the negative than we wanted to be. So although we made back $3 million, we didn't make the progress we wanted to make this year. As a result, unfortunately, he did announce that there will be no raises this year. He did assure everybody that he understands the essentialness of raises and the importance of raises to morale, and that they're making an effort and committed to giving raises next year, while still, of course, providing our students with an affordable education. So there's a little bit of bad news to the opening remarks as well. Then Teresa provided a budget update, which was great. She did a budget presentation. I believe that was at the November meeting. Correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been October. And so she gave us a little bit of an update. So actually it was November. The 2020 budget was presented. And then, of course, they've met with the board several times since then, including once this week, to discuss the progress that they're making. The 2020 budget compared to the forecast was adjusted in the presentation that she gave. So the 2020 adjusted budget was negative $1.5 million. The forecast was negative $1.2 million. That's where the variance that I mentioned was. It's about $250,000 more negative than we hoped to be. So progress was made, but not quite as much as they wanted. And he may mention that that was due to a couple of That was due to a couple of sounded like capital improvement projects, unexpected projects that came up. Not capital improvement, but more repairs that came up unexpectedly that needed to be dealt with. So the planning was there, but unfortunately they didn't quite reach the goal that they wanted to. Then Teresa went ahead and moved on to talking about the net margin projection, which is, I'm sure, something that everybody is interested in. In 2019, we were at negative $4 million. This year, we're at negative $1.5 million, and they are still projecting a positive net margin for 2021. They don't know exactly what that net margin is going to be. The budget isn't set. They're working on it, but it isn't finalized. So hopefully those numbers will be out. Teresa did project that she believed it would be approximately $1 million positive net margin, but the exact number will come out when the budget is finalized. Net tuition year over year is down, instead of 2.8% last year, 1.1% this year. We all know that the things they looked at when they were making strategic cuts were compensation, benefits, and operational expenses. Last year, you can see they were 2.3%, 2.2%, and 2.4% respectively, and this year they were a little bit less. Total revenue versus expensive, the gap has gotten a little smaller. Of course, there's still work to do, and they are forecasting the gap to close completely back to a positive net margin in 2021. Net margin as a percent of total revenue has shifted from negative 0.9% to positive 0.8%. And she mentioned that the 2021 budget will really improve, specifically due to some of the compensation cuts really kind of having more of an effect. A lot of the retirements that occurred this budget year, of course, didn't occur on day one of the budget year, but next budget year, those retirements will have been in place for the entire time, so they will reap some rewards there in terms of the budget as well. Last meeting, after the budget report, the committee generated ideas. How can we still provide a great education as cost effectively as possible was a question that we were tasked with answering. A high-level summary of the ideas that were discussed, that Teresa spent some time reiterating that she heard and that they were pursuing, were, of course, to create, set, and live by budgets. I know Sandy Shu, the person that's in charge of our budget, has done an amazing job with that, and so hopefully we're all learning how to do that together. Catering and celebration should be more cost-effective. There was a lot of discussion about Sodexo, and I know that will probably continue to come up. It is apparent that the Sodexo contract is a long-term contract. I'm not sure how long-term, but it's not something that we can immediately remove ourselves from. Of course, the question is always, how can that stuff cost so much when we have catering for different events? And of course, we know that part of the contract is that we can only use Sodexo, so that's kind of limiting. And Dr. Livingston interjected and spent a minute kind of explaining that that's their business model, is to be able to provide students food at a lower cost and making more of a profit on catering. So that provided a little bit of understanding. It isn't the most encouraging outlook, but they are very aware that that is something that needs to be addressed when they're able to address it. The cleaning contract, they're still exploring bringing cleaning in-house. I'll go back in order. Communications, somebody brought up that using cell phones may be more effective than two-way radios. They actually determined that two-way radios were more cost-effective. Contracts, they are still evaluating what to outsource, what to do in-house, if there are any reductions in expenditures to be had there. Human Resources is evaluating, of course, what positions to fill, shifting positions to different areas, trying to economize there. Facilities has been still doing upgrades to HVAC systems, generally when buildings are being renovated, so not everything at once, but one at a time. Again, trying to be cost effective. Printing, of course, we know, was put back into the college budgets. I believe I'm accurate in saying that. And everybody's done a decent job of reducing printing and using digital copies when able. I know that's something that's been a big focus for us in aviation. The next thing was leveraging technology whenever possible to streamline processes. UTC has really worked to reduce redundant subscriptions. There's 5, 6, 10 people might have similar subscriptions on campus, and we don't need to be paying for all of them. So they have done a great job reducing those redundant subscriptions. Some academic areas, of course, I think that we all know that course offerings and rotations and class sizes and adjuncts and overloads have been scrutinized to make sure that we're being conscious of the fact that our students are paying tuition and being careful with how that is being done. And then we spoke about Sodexo already. After Teresa was finished, we had a strategic plan update with Ray and Kurt, and we're actually at about the halfway point of the strategic plan. This 5-year plan goes from 2017 to 2022, and we discussed some of the strategies of the plan and basically took a hard look at, hey, when this plan was developed and created and implemented, we were not in the financial position that we are today, so how can we reevaluate the strategic plan with the knowledge that we have now? Is there anything else that we can do to reinforce the pillars of the strategic plan? So if you don't know much about the strategic plan, it outlines a vision and a mission, and then identifies 5 pillars, 5 areas that the university has targeted as keys. Academic innovation, transformative experiences, geographic reach, data-informed, and mission-focused. With academic innovation, so far the university has continued to develop new programs, speech and language pathology, actually, that should say, I believe, not technology. And then sponsored programs, advising task force, all kinds of things have been done with regard to academic innovation. Transformative experiences, of course, we have the experiential learning task force starting up here, I think, this month. Geographic reach, they have had enrollment increases out of state. A lot of that is due to lacrosse, and there's been a big focus on social media marketing because I know that was something that has been brought up before. Data informed, of course, we always want to make decisions based on information, and the academic performance system has been implemented and has been a great tool, or will be implemented. I'm not actually 100% sure on that, but is in the process of being used or implemented, and is a great tool for program directors to evaluate what's going on. There's going to be a climate survey that goes out to faculty and staff to see how everybody can improve things. So that sounded like a very interesting implementation. And then, of course, the last one is mission-focused. So one of the big things that has started over the past couple years is the Discover Stories initiative, which I just had the first meeting of last night, and it's a very fun, unique, empowering experience. So that has been, I think, a great success. And then the encounter as well. And then we went ahead and broke up into groups and spent some time saying, providing our opinions on how we can continue to reinforce the strategic plan with some of the information that we have now. So it was a good meeting. Actually, I'm not sure when the next one is, but I have an email sent out, and as soon as I know what that when that time is, I will add it to the written report. And of course, UPBRAC always sends out a university-wide notification, so you'll have that as well. Thank you for your time. Hopefully I didn't get anything too wrong, and have a delightful day.